was like super nervous as well, like because it's the first time I've been in a whole England setup, and like you see players walking around, you see first team England players walking around, like and saying hi to you like it's nothing, and
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like wow, like I watch you on TV every weekend, and now I'm like training at the same place as you.
Yes, sir. I'm your host, Leroy, and welcome back to The Insight. But before we start, could you make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for any new content that will be coming your way very soon. But without further ado, enjoy the pod. Let's come back a little bit. Obviously, you've played well for Luton, played a lot of games. There was a time when I think after the season when you played like maybe like 39 games or something, Nottingham Forest came in for you. Like, did you know? And like, obviously the deal didn't come into fruition, but how did you feel knowing that it didn't happen and maybe you wanted to go or you didn't want to go? I don't know.
Yeah, so I think when I first found out about it, it was through my agent, and we were actually on pre-season tour, and I think the manager or the chairman sat me down and was like, this team, Nottingham Forest, obviously are very interested in you, and would like to put a bid in and stuff like that. But before that, I was just thinking like about my next game. I was thinking about the next day in training, getting through it basically.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like a eye opener for me to know that like people are actually watching me and taking me in. So, but I wasn't like phased about it at all. Like there was no point in my mind that I was like, oh yeah, I want to go just because they're in the championship and they're obviously a massive side. But I just wanted to continue playing games, and obviously it's turned out all right for me. But there are plenty of people that have passed down the opportunity as well that it hasn't worked out for them. So in the end of the day, it's just about your performances on the pitch and basically a bit of luck.
No, I hear that. And then obviously because of your such good performances, you got your call up to England. How did you find out about that? What were the emotions like? Who did you tell first? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so the first time I actually got called up was I think it was under 19s
Yeah.
in the summer. I think the summer after the playoffs where we lost in the semi-finals. So I was planning to go to not too sure where I was going. I was planning to go on holiday basically with my mates, and I get a phone call maybe 3 4 days before from the gaffer at Luton, just saying like you've been called up by England under 19s, and their manager wants to speak to you and see how you are and stuff like that. And I was just like, I thought he was joking, to be honest. Like
Serious.
I didn't think they were looking at like people in League Two and stuff like that. So yeah, it was crazy. And then like going there, playing with like big players at that age, like it was crazy. And like the level of the training just like was a whole nother level. Even though that I was playing first team for Luton, the training was such a high standard. Like every time I went, I felt like I come back a better player.
No.
So that was always a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Talk me. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk through how, obviously when we're younger, like the majority of players who came into the younger age groups for England were players from top teams.
Yeah.
Like let's say Manchester United, Arsenal, like all that stuff. How do you think it's like changed now in terms of like they're looking at players who are maybe in different leagues, like lower down, but are playing first team? Like, do you think it's changed more in terms of first team football than really like academy kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's changed a little bit, but obviously it's like a bit of the same still because like you always see like Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man U boys always in the same like age group coming through, and you don't really see like League One, League Two players that often in the younger age groups. But at the same time, it's like there is a golfing quality between the young guys in League Two and League One compared to the young guys in the top Premier League academies, which is like when I went, I was like, wow, this is the level that I've got to be at, basically. And it was pretty hard and that. So, and they were like, wait, who's this guy that come from League Two? I've never even heard of the team, like this, that, and the other. So it was kind of hard for me at first, but then I found my feet and then just kept on kicking on.
Yeah, like talk me through that process. Like, obviously, you're now coming in. You're all the same age group, but like, let's say the players that you've seen around, maybe talked about on TV and whatnot. How was your mental space like coming into it? Like, were you in a sense of like, okay, I'm just gonna try fit in and not make any mistakes, but train like best, or were you in a sense, I'm gonna show them that even though I'm coming from a League Two team, like I'm worthy of being here.
Yeah. It was always like the second one, as in like I got to show them that I'm worthy of being here, and I got to show them like what I'm good at, and basically. But at the same time, I was like super nervous as well, like because it's the first time I've been in the whole England setup, and like you see players walking around, you see first team England players walking around, like and saying hi to you like it's nothing, and it's
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like wow, like I watch you on TV every weekend, and now I'm like training at the same place as you, and I'm in the same setup as you, and it kind of like gives you that inspiration that you need to kick on and stuff like that. And so like, but it was hard, like with the nerves and stuff like that, because you see so many faces that you've never seen before. It's like I think it's definitely worse than joining a new club, because when you join a new club, like everyone is like, I say, more accepting of you.
Okay.
Whereas when you join England, there's already like little cliques and stuff like that have been coming, because they've
Oh.
been playing with each other with England since they've been 15, and it's been the same, like there's been the same groups of people from the same few clubs like that have been being picked week in week out, or month in month out, sorry.
Yeah.
And so that it's kind of hard to break into those cliques. But when you get older, like obviously the boys are more mature, and like it's a lot more accepting, I'd say.
Yeah. So talk me through obviously your training and stuff. Talk me through the games. How were the games? Because now you're not only playing with kids and against kids that are the best in England, but now you're playing against the best in other countries. How was that experience?
Yeah, so it was like a completely different game, playing against these countries when we're younger, because like in League Two and League One, it's like every team's just scrapping and fighting, and like one team might have a bit more quality. But when you're with England, the standards are so high, because every team you face, you're expected to beat, and every team, or near enough every team you play, just sit in a low block like every game, and you've got to find your way around it. And so you've got to find other things that you're good at, like you can't just use your pace and power and like brute strength to get through. You've got to like be a bit more technical and stuff like that. And that's another good thing about going away there. You improve loads, like technically and tactically, because you're playing different systems to what you do at your club, and there's also different rules and stuff like that. So overall, it just makes you a better player. And it's like it's so weird stepping out for the first time, like singing the national anthem before games. Like
Yeah,
you feel
yeah.
like you feel like you're playing for the like senior team. So it's a bit of a crazy one, to be honest.
Yeah, and talk me through the emotions of like obviously you're stepping on the field. It's obviously different like playing with your parent club and then stepping in with England. Like talk me through the emotions of when like obviously you're now on the pitch, national anthem, you're thinking, I was maybe dreaming about this. I thought maybe it might happen, but now I'm here. Like, yeah, talk me through the emotions, man. I want to know. It's mad.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like I'm in a like on TV like every week, and I'm in a film, like living my dream basically.
Yeah.
But like when you get onto the pitch, it's actually much easier than you'd think, and like there are a lot of players around England that could just slot in seamlessly into the team, because the players that England bring up are always like top quality at a young level. So you're never like without the ball for too long. Like you've always got the ball. It's usually simple. And I always find when I go away with England now, the games of England are so much easier than the games that are in the Premier League, because obviously the Premier League is the best league in the world and it's grown men. Whereas like now when I go away with England, like I'm one of the oldest players there. So
Mm.
like I'm kind of like the old one, like shining down some guidance on the players around me, and the experiences that I've had, because a lot of them have just played in Premier League academies since they've been young, whereas like I think there's a few of us now that have come from like Conference League Two, League One, and stuff like that. So it's definitely like breaking the mold a bit, I'd say.
Yeah. Who would you say is like your like closest clique when you go to the England camps then?
I think it's like a couple of the Norwich boys,
Yeah.
Ben Godfrey and Max Aarons. I usually hang around with them with the most,
Yeah.
just because I know Max obviously was in the Luton setup when he was younger, and he's really close with Ben as well. So as soon as I like got together with them, it was like I'd never been away from them, like I've known them all my life. So it's like it's a good time when you go with England, but it's also a time to work hard.
No, for sure. So talk us through, obviously, we've skipped ahead a little bit, but talk us through the Leicester City transfer. Like, mad.
Yes, yeah.
I don't
So
even have words for it, honestly, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah. So when I was in my last season at Luton, there was like loads of interest. Like my agent kept on calling me saying like, I don't want to take your head away from football and the goal that was in the back of my head, which was getting promoted. But there are a few clubs that are looking at you and like will talk when the time is right, basically. So that was put to my back of my head, really. I've never been like one to be like overawed by all of these transfer sagas, transfer speculation, this, that, and the other. But
Yeah.
like it kind of does give you that like swagger as a player as well, just to know that these clubs are interested in you. And throughout that season, I'd say it got to maybe December, and my agent was saying like, we need to have a sit down about and talk about like the clubs that are interested. And there was a chance to go in that January, but like I chose to obviously stick it out to the end of the season, and me, my agent, and the club and my parents all decided that it was best for me to stay until the end of the season, and finish basically what I started, because
Yeah.
that's all I've ever wanted to do when I was with Luton, is like getting them back to where I belong, as like as much as I can help. That's what I do, and so it got to the summer. We just won the league, obviously,
Mad.
which is crazy, and like, but no, like people like that play for Luton, like knew basically that I was leaving, but like obviously the fans and that maybe have heard a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but and they didn't really know, so I never really got to say goodbye to them or
Oh.
anything like that. So it was a bit of a weird one. But when the summer rolled around, I just sat down with my agent and my parents, like, and like tried to pick out what was the best move for me and my family, basically. And
Yeah.
Leicester was the right decision in the end. And when that all got done, it was like crazy. Like I'm playing where I always wanted to play in the Premier League, and I knew it was going to be like super tough though with the adjustment from League One to the Premier League, because
Yeah.
obviously the players are just like it's such a like high quality compared to League One and League Two, obviously. So it was a big learning curve for me.
No, for sure. How was it getting settled? How did the players help you get settled? How did the coach help you get settled? Who was the coach at the time? Was it Brendan?
Brendan
Brendan
Rodgers,
Rodgers. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
how did the players help you get settled? Because obviously it's hard to move teams sometimes, my bad.
yeah.
But did they make it like welcome him? Like how was that reception?
Yeah, to be honest, like my agent told me that it would be an easy group to settle into, to be fair, because there's loads of young guys around the same age as me, um, that would be coming back from the Euros that summer,
Oh.
um, to like help me settle in, basically. So when I got there, I was kind of expecting them, but they actually, all of the young guys weren't there because they were still on their holidays, because the Euros
Yeah.
because took up a lot of their break. So like when I got there, it was like the big names, and like I was so scared, but like it was actually super easy to get involved with like all the boys and that, and like they were so like welcoming and stuff like that. Like all the big name players, like they're so nice and easy to get along with. So Um, it was actually much easier than than I thought it would be to move club and settle in. But like, whereas like flip side of that, on the pitch, I knew it was going to be hard, and like the first few months were hard. Like in my first few training sessions, I was coming home like, oh my god, like this is crazy. Like the speed of the play is like super fast. It's like times two of what I've been used to, and I knew it was something that I'd have to like get used to over a certain amount of time. It wasn't going to come just like straight like that. And like at the same time, I've also got to show my qualities in every training session, because I was taking every training session like it was my last, basically,
Yeah.
at the start, because I want to make a good impression. I want to know that I want to show that like I'm a Premier League footballer and I'm ready. And over the first few months, I definitely did that.
No, that's good. So talk us through when you first finally made your Premier League debut. Like, obviously, you're obviously working towards it from young, and now you're finally there, about to embark on another journey. Like,
Yeah,
talk me through those emotions on the sideline about to come in.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, because like I think like it wasn't like super soon in the season. Like I was always on the bench every game. Like I was always like this close to coming on this time, this close to coming on that time. But like in my first time that actually come on was against Watford, ironically, like
Yeah.
Luton's rivals. And
Did they boo you or anything or
before,
not?
nah, they probably were like, who? Like, you know, when they do the substitutions, they're like, who? Yeah, that's what I'd have been like
uh,
anyway. But like, obviously, there was something more in that game for me personally, because obviously it's my debut and against like Watford. So it was kind of a 2-in-1 for me. Like, I always wanted to play in the Premier League, and for that to like come true, it's like the best thing ever. And like as soon as I got on the pitch, I was like running around everywhere trying to make my presence known and stuff like that as much as I could. But and actually I got an assist that game as well. So like, but it was like a dream come true. After the game, it was like party time basically, and like I was so happy. I went home and just shared the evening with my girlfriend and
yeah.
celebrated.
How long did it take you to like fully like gather your thoughts about everything that had just happened? You know what I mean? Because like a lot of kids, like that's the dream for everybody who's working towards football. Like how long did you like take to pinch yourself and be like, yo, like this is mad. This is actually reality right now.
I don't think it was actually too long, like, because as soon as I joined Leicester, I was in the 21s, England under 21 setup as well. So I was like around big names that you'd hear. Like I was around Phil Foden, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and like big players. And so like I was kind of used to it, and it just at some point it just becomes normal to you. Like at the start, it's a bit like wow, but like
Yeah.
maybe after like a week or two, you're like, this is life for me. Like at the end of the day, it's my job, and I've got to be good at my job, or else I'm gonna get cut, basically. So
Mm.
that's the mindset. That's the mindset that I had, and now it's just like it's weird, because like people from the outside might see me as like, oh my god, he's a Premier League footballer, but like my friends and my family just see me as like the same old person that they did before, and like I'm not phased by all of this, all of the outside talk and this, that, and the other. So I just try and focus on my game, really.
That's good. Like how much, because you've obviously mentioned that throughout basically the whole time we've been talking. How much of that calmness and level-headedness, like where do you get that from?
I think it's definitely my family, and like I've been taught to never get too high or never get too low, really.
Mm.
But like you got to take that with a pinch of salt, because obviously when you get promoted, it's like you got to celebrate
Yeah.
like it's like your life depended on it, basically, because like you've worked through the whole season. Like this is your end goal. You've completed your end goal. But like after a week of that, or like a few days of that, it's just thinking about the next thing, and like what's next, basically. What's your next goal? What are you going to do next season? How are you going to improve as a player? How's the team going to get better? This, that, and the other. And then obviously at Leicester, it's a whole different world, because like there's a lot more resources to help. And basically, if you're not up to par, in the Premier League, you'll be gone just like in an instant. And
Yeah.
it's easy for them to rotate the team in and out, and it's something that you got to be on. Like you got to be putting in high level performances like as much as you can to stay in the team, which I've been doing recently, and it was hard at first. Obviously, not I wasn't getting too much game time, which I knew coming to Leicester, because obviously it was 2 steps up the league, and it was going to be hard for me to adapt.
Yeah.
But like now I found my feet. I feel like I'm just like this is like normal for me now, and I go out every game like thinking the same thing and having confidence in myself. Ricardo Pereira, which is like the guy that got injured, done his
Yeah.
ACL. He's definitely he'd probably be the best player I played with. He's just like he's like a lot of people say that when I say that to him, but like if you ask any of the Leicester boys, they'd say the same thing. Like he is like unreal, like the stuff he does and stuff like that.